Let us pray. Dear Lord, we come to you today asking for you to wrap your healing hands and loving arms around our election family. We ask that you watch over and guide us to best serve our community, state, and nation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Are there any amendments or corrections to the agenda? Seeing none, the agenda is adopted as written. Has everyone had a chance to look at the July 18th regular board meeting minutes?
Yes.
Are there any corrections or amendments?
There are none.
Seeing none, the minutes are approved as written. Public comments for the agenda items only. Please state your name and address.
That's great. I have two separate comments, so I'd like to do the one on behalf of the NAACP first. I am Janet Bradford, 145 Christina Lane, Kingsland, and this is on behalf of NAACP Unit 5177. Dear Board of Election and Registration members, we write concerning the two new rules that the State Election Board adopted at their August 6th meeting, hoping that you can respond to the following questions to assuage the concerns that these rules are raising in our electorate. Rule 183-1-12-.02 adds the following clause to the definitions laid out by the General Assembly in OCGA Section 21-2-2. And I just want to make sure that is on the agenda. That's under new business. Okay.
It's on the training portion of it.
Certify the rules of a primary election or runoff, or words to that effect, means to attest, after reasonable inquiry, that the tabulation and canvassing of the election are complete and accurate, and that the results are a true and accurate accounting of all votes cast in that election. We are concerned that the phrase, after reasonable inquiry, is so vague that it invites election interference by partisan groups who have attempted to disenfranchise our citizens in the past, for example, by filing voter challenges after the deadline for voter roll maintenance. We hope that you can clarify that you will interpret reasonable inquiry as simply continuing your current practice of working closely with the elections office and staff and the poll workers and poll managers they hire to ensure that everyone adheres faithfully to all of the safeguards, for example, chain of custody rules that are currently in place. Rule 183-1-14-.02 adds the following paragraph to the current SEB rules regarding advance voting. 18. Any absentee ballot drop location other than the United States Postal Service or authorized and defined drop box under Georgia law that receives absentee ballots shall require an absentee ballot form with written documentation, including absentee ballot elector's name, signature, and photo ID of the person delivering the absentee ballot, and approved relation to the elector's name on the absentee ballot. An absentee ballot form provided by the Secretary of State shall be completed by the registrar, clerk, deputy, or election official. The form shall serve as a written record of the name of the elector, the name of the person delivering the absentee ballot, the relationship to voter, signature of the person depositing the ballot, and type of ID of the person delivering the absentee ballot. The absentee ballot form shall be returned with the absentee ballots and chain of custody forms to the superintendent. Any ballot not included on the recorded absentee ballot form or any ballot delivered without a signed chain of custody shall be considered a provisional absentee ballot. The superintendent shall notify any elector with a provisional ballot immediately and provide information and instructions on how to cure the provisional absentee ballot. As you know, many of our citizens send their absentee ballots to you via a relative, household member, or caregiver as authorized by OCGA Section 21-2-385A. We are concerned that they may be disenfranchised by this new rule unless we can get word of this change along with copies of the new absentee ballot form to them. Will you make the absentee ballot form available as soon as you receive it so that we can help you get out the word? Yours, Timothy Besant Sr., Branch President.
I will answer that. Yes, we will make sure that once we get the form, it will be made public. It'll probably be on our website.
Okay, thank you. Now, once again, I'm Janet Bradford, 145 Christina Lane. These are my personal comments, and they are relative to agenda items G1, G2, and H1. G1, discussion regarding supplemental process guidance for voter challenges. The purpose of the proposed draft in the packet, the agenda packet, is, quote, so Camden County electors wishing to challenge electors under either OCGA Section 21-2-229 or OCGA Section 21-2-230 better understand the requirements for filing and adjudication of such challenge, end quote. It is not the function of the board to assist those who wish to challenge an elector. Rather, the Georgia Code outlines the process the board must follow in the event that such a challenge is submitted to the board. By stating the purpose of this discussion as better informing the challenger, the board is outside its purview. If someone wishes to make such a challenge, then the onus is on said person to request legal advice on how to proceed. Recommend that item be struck from the agenda. Item G2, a letter is included in the agenda packet signed by the board chair. It is not marked draft, and it's dated August 12, 2024, so it's not clear whether or not the letter has been sent to the SEB. In general, the letter asks questions of the SEB regarding the process of administering elections. For example, the question is asked, what is the retention period for the absentee ballot form? The administration of elections is still the purview of the Secretary of State, even though that position has been now removed from the SEB. Another question asks, will there be proposed legislation to codify this new category of provisional ballots? The SEB is not a Georgia legislative body, and any response to such a question would be speculative at best. Recommend the letter be revised to remain within the parameters of the policy items within the purview of the State Election Board. In addition, in light of recently reported comments regarding the new SEB rules and actions from the Secretary of State and the State Attorney General, it may be prudent to demur from questioning the rules until Georgia elected officials have taken the opportunity to weigh in on this appointed body, 3 of whom were appointed in 2024 and one as recently as May 2024. Thus, re-item H1, training on the revised rules, is presumably premature given the uncertainty that seems to surround the legitimacy of the rules. During the July meeting, Elections Supervisor Nettles indicated that staff will attend training sometime in August. Respectfully suggest any training on these revised rules be postponed until after state-delivered training is completed. The number of registered voters in Camden County has decreased by 1,643, or 4.3% since the November 2020 general elections. Perhaps the board can better benefit the Camden County electorate by facilitating voter turnout rather than voter challenges. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Dr. Bradford. Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to the financial report, July 2024 month-end report. Has everyone had a chance to review that financial
Yes.
report?
Yes.
Any questions on it?
No. I just wanted to let you all know what the printing at the bottom of page 1 is for $5,375. That is the new ballot paper that is watermarked, secure ballot paper. That's 40,000 sheets of new ballot paper. They were delivered this week, so that's good. And we have been told, I don't know if we've been told officially, that we can utilize. Okay. Unofficially, we've been told that we can use the old ballot paper for LNA testing as long as the LNA stamp is on there. So that is our plan, if that is what the guidance we get from the state is. So that way we don't have to shred all that paper, and we don't have to use our new secure paper to do LNA testing.
We were gonna shred about, what, $4,000 worth of paper?
A lot, yeah. We have done a lot of mailings. That's why you'll see that postage has about $600 spent on it. The computer supplies was just ink. And if no one has any questions, that's all I had to say about the treasurer's report.
And we did close out the
or the
fiscal
financials.
year 2024.
They are not, there. I don't have paperwork showing that yet. It'll probably be next month before that's finalized. So I'll be glad to share it as soon as we get it.
Any questions from the board?
No.
All right, moving on to election supervisor update. Ms. Shannon, the floor is yours.
All right. We have recently completed our training schedules, put those in action for new poll workers, veterans who are coming. We will begin training in late September. We have a total of about 110 people signed up for 5 various training sessions, and they'll be here and in Kingsland. And as we get closer to that date, I'll give you the times and dates. They're quite full classes, averaging anywhere from 25 to about 30 people a class, give or take. Some days are a little bit lighter. So we're excited with the turnout, and I have, just so that you know, at this time, remove the poll worker application button from the website so that we don't get an influx. We still get them in other ways, so that's why I've at least turned off the one for the website, the public website. We will be hosting the Region 14 meeting here in Camden County on September 5th. That's a Thursday from about 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's an opportunity for election supervisors and staff to kind of go over guidance and meetings and things that have occurred in the previous month since we met, so that we can make sure that we are all on the same page for the upcoming election. So we do have that coming up, and I already have about 40 people signed up for that. So that'll be a nice event. And y'all are welcome to come, although it is a meeting of mostly just staff. And so sometimes, you know, we vent. So just a heads up.
Vent away, vent away.
But we do have a good crowd coming, and our region makes up all, we have like Brantley County coming, Pierce is coming, Ware's coming, Glenn's coming, Charlton, I'm sure I'm forgetting several others. Plus, we'll have some visitors from the state. Hopefully, Blake Evans will be able to attend, our election director. Dominion representative will be with us, and our liaison, Aaron, will be with us. So we've been working on that. We did meet this morning. Rock and I went to a law enforcement tabletop exercise that was hosted by Glenn County, and had Chris Harvey and Blake Evans present. They did a presentation. The law enforcement participation was awesome, which is a very good thing, because a lot of law enforcement officers are not as familiar with election law as they need to be, especially in this upcoming season. So this is an opportunity for those men and women to learn a lot more about what we're doing with elections. That is like kind of like a kickoff meeting to more centralized local meetings that we hope to have over the next few months or next month or so to get ready for the November election. So we did have participation from our Camden County Emergency Management Agency. We had Chief Evans was there from the city of Kingsland with another another officer. We have a new point of contact with the Camden County Sheriff's Office. Cedric used to be the gentleman that helped us with patrol and having patrol individuals go by different polling places, and Cedric's no longer with the organization. And so now we have Captain David Douglas, who is our point of contact, and they're literally across the street from my office. So he was able to come today along with another deputy, and we're going to continue our conversations from today, hopefully in the coming weeks, and loop St. Mary's into that as well. They just were unable to be there today. So it was a really good meeting. Rock enjoyed it. We go through 3 different scenarios. We turn around, kind of work together. It was very interesting and informative for all parties. So that was nice. I have on here to just review the advanced voting schedule one more time, just as kind of a reminder and to get it on the record. And in case anyone watches this meeting, our advanced voting schedule for November begins on October 15th, which is a Tuesday. Early voting in that location for that week, October 15th through 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That Saturday will be, through Friday will be 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. at the Annex. The Annex is open for 3 straight weeks. We have Saturday voting on the 19th and 26th, but we also have Sunday voting on October the 20th. I have lots of these sheets with all of the dates, times, and locations because in addition, we'll be voting in Woodbine and in St. Mary's as well at the Welcome Center. So please make sure you have the schedule or check it out online.
And there will be a public notice coming out.
Yeah, we're working on that. It'll probably be next month, but yes, we'll have a public notice coming out as well. We will be at the high school, hopefully, on September 17th, like we are every year for National Voter Registration Day. It's the last opportunity for us to get the students that have not registered yet an opportunity to register. So we're looking forward to that. We spend their 4 lunch periods out in front of the dining hall or whatever they call their lunchroom, and recruit and just talk to the students and see if they've already registered or would like to register. So we hope to get some younger people there that day on September 17th. Also, we have qualifying going on right now in the city of St. Mary's and the city of Kingsland. City of St. Mary's has 4 open seats. As of an hour ago, they've had 11 people qualify for their positions. They have 3, I don't know where the 11th person stands, but they have 3 people running in 2 different races. And then Kingsland, we have just 2 individuals, well, 3, I'm sorry, 3 individuals running in Kingsland. And one of those is a incumbent that's running, and then the other seat has 2 new candidates that are running, and one of those is Dr. Bradford. Congratulations for qualifying. So they go through Thursday and Friday with qualifying. I think St. Mary's ends on Thursday, maybe Wednesday, maybe today, I'm not positive. Wednesday? 22nd. So they'll end tomorrow. Kingsland ends on Friday. So we will get that information. That leads me to ballots. So we don't have ballots yet because we don't know who's on the ballot for the cities. And most municipalities do not do their city elections in a general election year with the presidential race. It's usually in the opposite year. So we are in a holding pattern. I have to get all the names on Friday out to our ballot builder, and she'll provide a proof of that hopefully sometime next week. So we have everything for the special election that St. Mary's is holding, but just not obviously the names of the people. So we'll be hopefully getting ballots before too long. And I'm going to turn it over to Rock, and then I'm going to ask him too. He's going to talk absentee ballot applications, but also if you can highlight a couple of these important dates for us too, please.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
As of today, 3:45, we have 408 absentee ballot requests. In that number, there are some that came from our rollover, and we have 29 Uocava ballots, so a total of 437 as of 3:45 today. Well, you may want to note the largest requests are for St. Mary's, precinct 308. They had the most, at 55. The important dates. September 17th will be our begin. September 17th begins our dates to mail out our Uocava ballots. And September 21st is our Uocava Day. So all Uocava ballots that we have to be out by September 21st. And after that date, any Uocavas that we receive have a 72-hour deadline to be mailed. Okay. October 7th, yay, we get to mail our absentee ballots. And also, October 7th is the deadline for voter registrations and change of address. That's the drop dead date. October 15th, as you all know, will be our first day of advanced voting. And the deadline to request a absentee ballot will be October the 25th, if they want one for the November 5th election. Looking forward to this one. November 1st is the last day of advanced voting. And of course, you guys know that November 5th is our election day.
All right, took up half my agenda. Awesome.
Okay. As of right now, we have a total of 43,768 registered voters. Our active voters, it's 36,429, and that's as of today. Any questions?
Questions from the board?
No.
Thank you, Rock. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Shannon. All right, moving on to new business, discussion regarding supplemental process guidance for voter challenges. Now, during the 2024 legislative session, SB 189, which made changes to the voter challenge statute, was passed and became effective on July 1st, 2024. The goal with the proposed supplement is to provide needed guidance to voter challenges, not only for Camden County voter that decided to submit a voter challenge, but also to the challenged voter, so they know what to expect. So they both can understand the process. If passed, the supplement will be available on the election website. Has everyone had a chance to look at the supplement?
Yes.
Any questions on the supplement? Any concerns about the supplement? Seeing none, I will accept a motion to accept or reject as written.
I offer the motion that we reject, based on the comments made by Dr. Bradford. I think that we, as a board, owe it to our electors to take time to contemplate and think about whether or not this is in the best interest of Camden County.
All right, I have a motion to reject. Is there a second? Motion fails for lack of second. Do I have a motion to accept? I'll make a motion to, go
Yeah,
ahead.
motion to accept.
I have a motion to accept. Is there a second? I'll second the motion just for discussion purposes. Do we have any discussion other than Ms. Harden?
I do have a couple things. I think some of the things that you had to say were valid. I think it's some concerns. I think that it's important that we slow down and take a look at what this involves and how it pertains to the voter and what it could do to people that challenge. It's a lot. And, you know, we were given it and we reviewed it, and it's a lot of information, and it can affect the people that are challenging in a lot of different ways. And, I mean, it seems like it's a good thing, but there's also some points that we probably need to just slow down and take a look at. I don't know if it's in a work session or in the public. I don't know how to handle it, but I certainly can see some of your concerns.
We can vote on this, or we can alter your motion to table this.
Okay. I'll alter my motion. Let's table it.
Actually, postpone it, sorry. Postpone
Postpone
it till the next meeting. We'll figure it out via email or work session. Okay? I have a motion to postpone this till the next meeting in September. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion to postpone in a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item is discussion regarding a letter to the State Election Board about revised Rule SB 183-14-02. On August 6th, the SEB voted 3-2 to add a rule concerning how hand-delivered absentee ballots shall be processed. The rule only applies to absentee ballots that are not mailed or placed in a ballot drop box by one of the 22 different people that are allowed to deliver an absentee ballot. It also requires the ballot drop box be under video surveillance. Has everyone had a chance to review the letter? The letter has not been sent, by the way, as of yet. So any questions or concerns about the letter?
No.
The chair will accept a motion to accept or reject this letter. Or we can open it up for discussion. Go ahead, Ms. Shannon, if you would like to say something.
Yeah, just a couple of things. You know, we did hear a little bit from Blake Evans this morning about the numerous rule change, or not numerous, but the rule changes that are being tossed out so soon to an election. And it is a little unnerving for a lot of election officials. And generally, the state is good about providing guidance to us once they figure out the best way for election officials to handle the rules of the SEB. So I think we're going to hear more on the guidance from the state on exactly what to do on some of these questions and how to go about incorporating these new rules. So I would just say we just need to stay in close communication with the state, not necessarily the state election board. They've already passed this. But our guidance is going to come, to go along with this, is going to come from the state. So I'd kind of like to hear what Mr. Evans is going to say and what legal counsel is going to say also. And then maybe send at least some of the questions is kind of what I'm thinking, but.
Are we open for discussion right now?
Pardon?
Are we
Yeah,
open
we're-
for
Yeah,
discussion?
we're open for this. Oh, yes, always open for discussion.
Well, I mean, I appreciate all the hard work that you put into this. And again, this is a lot, and it's really close to election time. And I understand that the piece has already been voted on and approved, and I appreciate you bringing some of the concerns to them. I just don't know what this letter at this time, what the purpose it would serve. I have some concerns about that, and I'm very excited to hear that they may give us some better guidance about what's going on. This is, I mean, we're close to election time, and then we're making big jumps in reference to things that are very, very important.
Right.
And if we're going to do it, I want it to be done right.
Right.
And I don't want us to jump into something and then later on come up with 20 questions about why it didn't work right or what we did wrong.
Right. And so that's why the purpose of this
Right.
letter is to actually communicate with the people that actually came up with the rule. Because it's kind of like the legislature. They make the rules out, and then everyone tries to sit around and figure out, well, what do they mean by this?
Right.
So if you actually go to the source, which is the SEB, they can determine what their reasoning was for it. We don't have to interpret it. They'll tell us what
Would have been
their
nice to have had this letter during the meeting.
Correct.
Or you up there during the
So-
meeting, bringing all of these things to light.
I
that-
did do
concerns.
public comments, but, I mean, there was 1,000 public
Right.
comments on everything, so I know they didn't get to it. The reason for the letter is they have to correspond back with us. It's not like a public comment where they say, okay, we'll get to it or we won't get to it.
Okay.
A letter they actually have to respond to. And this may also spur some questions at the state level, at the state, at Secretary of State's office, to ask some questions about, well, how are we going to do this? That they may not be thinking about.
Okay.
Valid point.
Yeah, that's true. Is the letter being sent by you as the chairperson or as on the behalf of the election board?
It'll be on behalf of the election board because it's on letterhead.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just not really sure that they're going to take the time to read it. They might have to reply, but that doesn't mean their reply is going to have any answers in it. Because are these rules that, because I can't remember, there's so many rules that the SCB alone came up with, or are these rules that other individuals from the state of Georgia submitted and they voted on?
So, yes, so the way the process works, you submit your proposal to the state election board. They look at it, take public comments, and they decide it's going to go into the rulemaking process. And that rulemaking process is 30 days long. So during that, from the time that this is proposed until it's voted on, people can make comments on it. And then the state election board will decide if they're going to revise it, table it, reject it, or they're going to work with the person to make it better. Well, the SEB took the proposed rule change and made it a rule as written.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, I mean, I know a couple of the members spoke of going to different election offices and visiting with them and getting feedback. Did they come anywhere else outside of the metro Atlanta area? That's a good question, right? Because what I feel they're trying to do is to incorporate rules that our larger counties are having trouble with, to fix the needs of every county in the state, and we're not all the same. And yeah, we should have uniformed procedures and rules, but I am just concerned that things that don't work in Fulton might work fine in Camden or vice versa, because of the fewer number of voters.
Right, but the problem is, we're going to be called up to Atlanta to talk to the SEB if we don't do something correctly that they put into law. And the way this rule, not a law, but the way this rule is written, it's very confusing. And I don't want to be standing up in front of the SEB come February or March of next year trying to explain why we did something that we had questions about to begin with, but we didn't ask them.
And at least now we would be able to say we asked them if
We
the
asked the
letter was
questions,
sent, even
and
though
you
we
either-
don't get answers
Right.
back.
You didn't answer our letter, we still had questions, or you answered our letter, and thank you very much.
But is the answer going to be, thank you for taking the time to write the letter? Or are
might
we
be.
going to get answers to the questions?
Right, because we
I-
may end up in the same spot. And I have a question. So when someone requests the absentee ballots, once we get the absentee ballots, does it have instruction for the person who requested the absentee ballot?
No.
Wait, what, the
Like,
application have
like
instructions?
all these rules about, if they have someone who's hand delivering their ballot, what that person is required to have or do or whatever. There's,
No, so not at the current time. And that's what I'm saying by some guidance, and not from the state election board guidance, but from Blake Evans,
Yeah.
from our elections team. Like, there might be something that we as a group of 159 counties come together and say, this is the form that we put inside our absentee ballot envelope that will help every voter understand when they go to deliver it, if it's not mailed, that this is what happens if it goes in the drop box. We don't know that yet because it's not time yet.
Right, because the question we may need to ask may not be these questions based on.
So the state election board did not make it clear that there should be any guidance provided to the voter on how this should be implemented. I think this Secretary of State's going to come back and say, put a piece of paper in with your absentee ballot. It's just another piece of paper. Well, when another piece of paper is just another piece of paper, eventually becomes quite a lot of paperwork. So are they going to change the oath envelope? That's the other question I have. If you're going to do this, let's change the oath envelope so when the voter signs the oath envelope, they understand that if I am not the person delivering the ballot, or if I am the person delivering the ballot and I hand it to someone, I'm going to fill out paperwork.
Yeah, I mean, I just think this brings on a lot of questions right before an
So
election.
here's the other thing about Secretary of State's office, and I didn't really want to get into this, but I will. So back in 2022, the Secretary of State told the election officials, when you pull the ballots out of the ballot box, you don't have to count them. Now, there's a rule that's being proposed right now that we have to start counting them. And the state election board was like, I don't know why, what gave him that authority? And that's my concern. If we don't talk to the state election board and we get guidance from the Secretary of State, is the state election board later going to come back and say, we didn't like that guidance? You shouldn't have followed that guidance. We're very clear on what we wanted you to do.
And we will be in the same boat with 158 other counties.
we will be.
Which is unfortunate, and it's like the code book. It's clear as mud, all of the rules, all of the.
And how
the
many
codes.
times would you like to ask the legislator, what was your intent when you
Yeah,
wrote this?
yeah,
This
yeah.
is our opportunity to ask, what was the intent of this rule? And how does it apply?
I'm just not confident we would get a response, but it is
We
worth
may
a
not.
so
So
I did
Shannon,
not
do
get a
you,
response.
do
worth
you
a
think it's
shot.
possible to maybe present them to Blake instead of the SEB, and maybe we can get a, no?
No.
But Blake didn't come up with this
I
rule.
know, but
SEB
maybe, I'm
did.
saying that maybe he can get the answers as opposed to this might just go off into a black hole somewhere,
Yeah.
and we
I-
never get the answers still. So
I agree with Kyle in the fact that if we don't send some sort of response, that then we can't say later that we didn't have any.
Right, that
Right,
we didn't understand the
right.
rule.
Right?
To me, it seems like the letter would be added to a little more. We've got a lot of questions and answers along here. I think the very final line would be a request from the state board to give us exactly,
Provide clarification.
provide us exactly how they would like to have it handled, and an example of proposed piece of paper for directions on how to handle it. And I think that, because what we've done, you've done a beautiful job of outlining all of the concerns and the documentation as to why it's a concern, but we haven't asked them for anything except for answers to those questions. And I think if we modified the letter a little to specifically ask them to tell us what they want it to look like, because they're probably going to come back, Chairman, and say, they don't know. And then now we've got a real problem.
Right. So
So-
if they do come back, that's when we can ask for more.
Right.
We can expound upon.
Right, but we
what
really
that
never
is.
asked him for anything. We highlighted all of the concerns, but I think the most important letter that we could send was, how would you like, now that it's been voted on by 3-2 and passed, how would you like us to proceed with it?
Yeah.
Camden
How do we
County
implement
wants to know.
That's where the
these changes?
How are we going to
That's
implement
where the
it?
Secretary of State comes in. But are they going to ask all these questions?
Right. So,
And I don't want to kick this can down the road until next month, because now we're
Then we're really.
time is
pushing
running
it.
out.
days
yeah, I
from
think the
election.
letter looks good as is. I think at the very end of the letter, we need to ask the question.
I agree with
Here's
Julie.
what we want from you or from the Secretary of State. This is what we want.
Right.
This is what we're asking for.
Right,
Because if we don't ask that, they're going to go, yeah, they really had some big concerns, didn't they? And they're going to put it aside.
exactly.
Because we didn't
Okay,
ask
so
for
when
anything.
you make a motion to accept this, please add in there to amend it, and this is the verbiage that I want.
Thanks. Anybody could help me out with that? I'd appreciate it.
I mean, we don't have, I mean, I want to get it done today,
I understand.
so.
Somebody help me with the verbiage.
What does the last line say currently? Anything?
There's, it just,
ends
very
with the question?
respectfully, it just ends with the
Okay.
question, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want, here, you want a copy of this?
No, I
It's-
have it.
Oh, there it is. What's this one, actually? I mean, I guess, first of all, do we all agree that by asking the question of how we'd like to proceed, is that something that we could add to it and it would help? If not, then
Yeah.
we're doing
I
something.
guess we're going to ask them for guidance on implementation of the new rules.
Okay, yeah. Request guidance for implementation of this new rule. Would that work?
Yes, please provide guidance for
Please?
implementation.
No, please.
I was just trying to be polite.
Yeah, what, we can say please.
And that's 183-1-14.02, right?
At .03, paragraph 18 and 19.
Are we waiting on you?
No.
Okay.
Y'all, you got a
I need a
motion.
motion.
I make a motion to accept Chairman Rapp's letter for the approval of revisions with the exception and an ending that says, "We hereby request guidance for implementation of the revisions to 183-1-14-02 advanced voting."
Second.
All right, I have a motion to accept and second. Is there any discussion?
No.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on to BOER training. Yeah, my PowerPoint, all right. New or revised Georgia State Election Board rules. This is not really a training, this is more of, this is the verbiage that the SEB came up with, and this is what they approved. I'm not really going to delve into my thoughts on the verbiage, but just lay out the verbiage so you understand it. All right, next. All right, during the August 6th SEB meeting, the following rules revisions were approved. Next. And this is the rule we've been talking about, so we don't probably need to discuss it any longer. We all understand it. Next. And that just talks about videotaping the ballot box. Next. And this is the definition, certifying the results of a primary election or runoff, or words to that effect, means to attest after reasonable inquiry that the tabulation and canvassing of this election were complete and accurate, and that the results are true and accurate, accounting of all votes cast in the election. There was lots of discussion about this at the SEB. It's all on video, and you can look at it there. Next. And this is from the August 19th SEB meeting. The following rule was revised. Next. All right, so preparing county certification. So we're now required to have a meeting on the Friday after the election. So I'm going to call a special call meeting right now for November 8th at 3 p.m. And we have to go through all the absentee any ballots that were voted during the election. We have to make sure that we can account for every vote and make sure that we don't have any more votes than we have voters. Okay? And the biggest thing is board members shall be permitted to examine all election and related documentation created during the conduct of elections prior to the certification of results. There was actually some Board of Election and Registrations that had to do an open records request to their election supervisor to get election-related material. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what sparked this, at the line 6. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Can you turn your mic on?
At 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock on the Friday after an election, we might not quite have everything in, because we have until the end of the day to receive UOCAVA ballots, so ballots that are coming from overseas, more than likely, and the provisional ballots. So just keep that in mind, as they have said we have to meet at 3 o'clock. But they were also told in the discussion, they being the SEB, that, well, y'all know that we have until 5 o'clock, but we're meeting at 3. So just a heads up, because we'll know if we are awaiting any other ballots coming in. We'll have them earmarked, we'll know exactly who we're missing, and if we are missing some, which I'm sure we will be, then we have to wait until 5 o'clock.
Right. So the 3 o'clock meeting gives you initial start on, you can check to make sure that we didn't have more ballots than we had voters. Because we know how many UOCAVAs are still outstanding. We know how many provisionals that we're going to have to, adjudicate or cure or adjudicate on Monday. So we'll have a very good understanding of where we're at in the election process at 3 o'clock on Friday.
Only other thought would be that if we are waiting for, and I don't know, I hadn't talked this through yet, so this might not work, but I mean, if 5 o'clock, you've looked, the board has reviewed everything, we have everything in, could we not certify the election at that time?
By 5 o'clock, yes, you
Yes,
could.
and not meet again on Monday. So that's an idea.
Right.
But I don't think we'll know that ahead of time.
Correct.
No, we won't.
Yeah.
And that has to be an open meeting anyway.
Yeah, it all has to be an open meeting.
So,
So we're just better off just doing the Friday 3 o'clock and then doing the Monday morning or Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Now, I can draft another letter to the SEB if you would like. No takers?
Well, that certainly probably would have been in my first letter.
Well, this one didn't come out
How
until
do we do
the-
this?
this one didn't come out
This didn't come out
until
until
2 weeks
after I
later.
had already drafted this letter, so there wasn't time.
Y'all?
And it was brought up to state election board officials
Sure
in the
was.
meeting.
And their reply, their answer,
Meet at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, meet at 3
for a 5 o'clock deadline?
For 5 o'clock deadline for provisionals and UOCAVA.
Hurry up and wait, Julie.
Again. Thank you, Ms. Harden.
Yep. All right, I think that is it for, any questions? Any other questions about the SEB rules? All right, there was a request by Gavrio to the State Election Board to suspend any more rulemaking until after the election. I don't know how the SEB is going to take that, if they're going to say, okay, thank you very much. Pretty much everything Gavrio was asked of the State Election Board, the State Election Board said, thank you, and this is how we want to proceed. But I think it's very important that we engage with the State Election Board when we have questions and not waiting for the Secretary of State's office. All right, anything else?
No.
All right, important upcoming dates. Qualifying for City of St. Mary's and Kingsland is going on right now, and you said Friday is the last day for Kingsland and Thursday for St. Mary's.
Yes.
Labor Day is Monday, September 2nd, 2024. All offices will be closed. National Voter Registration Day is Tuesday, September 7th, 2024. Shannon, can you give us a little more information? Send us an email on what time you're going to be at the high school if we want to come up there and help.
Okay, I have to let them know ahead of time.
Yeah.
So if you plan to come, let me know.
Okay. It's kind of a fun event. I mean, watching little kids run away from you because they don't know what you're there for, and you tell them, hey, I just want you to register to vote. please come register to vote. So if anybody's out there watching and you have children that are 17 and a half years of age or older, please have them bring their driver's license with them on September 17th so we can get them registered to vote. Okay? Our next meeting is Wednesday, September 18th at 4 p.m. right here. Columbus Day is Monday, October 14th, and all offices will be closed. Advance voting, we've already went over this, Tuesday, October 15th through November 1st. And we have a October 16th meeting. Mandatory Saturday voting is October 19th and the 26th. Sunday voting is October 20th at the annex from 1 to 5. General special election is November 5th, 2024. All polls open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I have a couple additional, I think Rock already talked about them also. October 7th, first day mail-in ballots may be issued, and last day of to register to vote for the general election is October 7th. And October 25th is the last day to request a absentee ballot. Additional public comments?
What was that last date, Kyle?
Pardon?
The last date you said?
October 25th,
And that was,
the last day to request an absentee ballot for the November general election, general special election. Please state your name and address.
Janet Bradford, 145 Christina Lane, Kingsland. Two comments. First of all, I'd like to thank the elections supervisor and her staff for working to identify a Sunday voting. It is appreciated. I've stood here and asked for it many times, so thank you very much. And the other comment, and I'm sure at this point I'm preaching to the choir, but the State Election Board has 5 members, and the chair, who is a Waffle House executive, was appointed by Governor Kemp on January 5th, John Fervier. On January 11th, the Georgia Senate appointed former State Senator Rick Jeffries. And on May 17th, this is all in 2024, Mrs. Janelle King was appointed by the Georgia House of Representatives. I think her profession is a Fox newscaster. Dr. Janice Johnston has been on the board since March of 2022, and she was appointed by the State Republican Party. And Sarah Gazal has been on the board since June of 2021. She was appointed by the Democratic Party. My point is that of the 5 members of the SEB, 3 of them have been on the board since January of 2024, with the most recent appointee, Mrs. King, on the board since May 17th. So, as my mother would have said, you can't get blood out of a turnip. You're expecting answers on the intricacies of conducting elections from people who they just don't have that expertise. So again, just keep that in mind. I understand that, yeah, you don't want to have to go before the board, but before all is said and done, the board may find itself having to answer to quote unquote higher powers. So the questions on the actual administration of the election, that is the Secretary of State's office. Is evident by the board saying, okay, yeah, well, we know you have to, you can't close out UOCAVA voting before 5 o'clock, but you need to meet at 3 o'clock anyway. So just consider what you're working with, and if you're anticipating words of wisdom in response to the letter, just don't be surprised when they're not forthcoming. So thank you very much.
I understand, but I'm also hoping maybe the letter will spur them to go, hey, maybe I need to look at the election code a little harder. But anyway.
Or at all.
Back to the meeting. All right, any other public comments? Seeing none, if there are no objections, the meeting will now adjourn. Since there are no objections, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Oh, and thank you very much